What's up, guys? Jake here. Now, usually a video like this or something like this would normally be regulated just to the podcast for the Grift Report, but the Grift Report this week is going to be extra long because we're talking all about grifters and Barbie, so that is going to be kind of pushed for the Grift Report. But there's something I wanted to talk about because I've seen this discourse going around on Twitter, and I really wanted to talk about it. So let's talk about Melonie Mac, our favorite grifter, our favorite right-wing grifter, pick-me girl, Melonie Mac. She hates when you say that, so say it often, because she is. But anyway, she's talking about Mortal Kombat 1, because Mortal Kombat 1 had a new trailer come out for San Diego Comic-Con last week, and it showed off their new design for Tanya, which I think is a fine design, because I don't really care that much about Tanya, to be honest. For me, Mortal Kombat, I've always been, my ride or die has always been Noob Saibot. Shout out to Bihan. So I don't really care about Tanya, and she's never been a character that's really connected with me. And that'd be the same case for Melonie. But she still decided to make a video about it. And she had to make a video because it's part of her grift. Now, what's her grift with this? Well, she has a litany of videos where she talks about modern video games uglifying women, making women ugly. Even movies, she talks about making women ugly. And to me, it really is just a virtue signal to her Gamergate, Comicsgate audience that she's cultivated here on YouTube. And people tend to give her some sort of credibility because she was in the industry for a while. She did like GameStop TV shit and all that other nonsense. And props to her, I guess. But I don't like Melonie because she says some really nasty things. She throws around the F slur. She says the R slur a lot, even in this video that we're going to talk about. But that's not really what we're talking about. I'm not trying to really explain my hatred for her type of content, but this is just a microcosm of what she does. So let's talk about her video on Mortal Kombat 1's redesign of Tanya. So Melonie starts the video explaining that Mortal Kombat 1 right now is getting a lot of backlash, and Mortal Kombat 11 got a lot of backlash because it took away the femininity, that's a tough word, of their characters, because they said that they didn't want to make the characters that they used to make. And historically, Mortal Kombat's characters tend to be big-titted, long, big cleavage, tiny waist, big booty girls. Of that time, that's what those characters look like. And look, I'm not here to say that I didn't enjoy them when I was a teenage boy, but I'm not a teenage boy anymore. I'm pushing 30, and I've accepted that women have different shapes and different sizes and different everything else, just like men do. But she has to virtue signal, like I mentioned, to her Comicsgate, Gamergate audience, because she's a right-wing pick-me girl, so she has to go to that. Now, maybe she does think that women design like that are cool. Sure. But it's just a pattern I've noticed. Patterns is when I start to point out things about grifters. That's when I really start to notice things. And she's even says in this video, she's made multiple videos about how she thinks women characters are ugly now because of modern audiences. So right out of the gate, she's talking about this.
A lot of their feminine appeal, but they've done it again, and this time we've seen the most egregious case, the worst make under. Shield your eyes. I know you probably already saw my thumbnail, so I apologize for subjecting you to that. But when the Mortal Kombat 1 trailer originally dropped, I was like, hey, you know what? This actually might look pretty good. Maybe it'll be good. Should have known better. Should have known, especially after what happened with Mortal Kombat 11. But for some reason, I was feeling optimistic. All right, let's go ahead and dive into the video. Now, first, I want to highlight this tweet that I made because I already know the haters are preemptively going to leave these comments. So let me just read this and then address it. So I said, people who like female video game characters to look pretty and feminine and male characters to look handsome and masculine are not the same as Coomer brain degenerates. They lump us all together to gaslight us. Wanting characters to be attractive is not corn or even close. I feel it's important to preface with this because so often when we talk about a female character being ruined, her being made to look more plain and not as feminine, not as beautiful, we're often told we are degenerates. And it's the irony here is the people who say this are usually these people with furry avatars who are looking at some of the most degen corn imaginable.
So that criticism is funny to me. So she comes out and she says, yeah, hey, just because we want characters to look more female doesn't mean that we are degenerate Coomer brains, her words. Essentially saying that, hey, just because we like that doesn't mean we're perverts. And then she goes on to say that the people like that have furry avatars or into like really degenerate porn. Melonie, I don't have a furry avatar. I'm not into degenerate porn. I don't know what you would describe as degenerate porn because based on your religious beliefs and just how you perceive that stuff, I don't know what you think is degenerate. But I'm not. And again, she loves to paint with broad brushes, and I'm not trying to paint with a broad brush here either. I will say this. I don't think Melonie's racist for these criticisms, but again, I think she's grifting with these criticisms. That's the difference. I don't think she's making comments on Tanya looking ugly because of her race, given her pattern is just that. She just likes to talk about female characters being ugly.
But no, not only that, but even people, there are some Coomer brain degenerates that want every character in video games to look pornographic, and it's a different thing for them. It's like a degen thing. So I do not associate this with that. And I think the majority of people are not in that bracket, okay? Wanting a character to be good to look at, to look good, does not equate to that. I don't, any of the characters that I like and that I think are pretty or handsome, I don't search for Rule 34 content on them.
So also she goes on to say that like, hey, I don't look at the Rule 34 content of characters that look attractive. And I don't think she does. That's fine. I don't either. But then we go into further criticism, and then she does this beautiful thing. Again, I'm not saying Melonie's racist, but she's using this beautiful deflection and whataboutism and tries to flip it and reverse it and call people that support this kind of racist. Beautiful move here, Melonie.
But I think it's actually, I think supporting this is more, I mean, not necessarily supporting is more racist. Maybe there are some people who like it better. I have a hard time believing that they genuinely like it better. I think for a lot of people, it makes them feel better because the ones who do like it, because it's like, oh, I'm not threatened by a character on a screen. Like, I don't feel like it's not encouraging me to go to the gym. It's not encouraging me to clean up my diet. It's not encouraging me to be healthy. It's not encouraging me to shower, and to try to look my best. So because of that, if I'm playing a game and every character is ugly, then I don't feel threatened about being lazy, about not caring about my own appearance. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people, especially.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people aren't grifting on YouTube like you and don't care about that. I'm a chunky dude. I don't look at characters on a video game and I'm intimidated. Like when I play God of War and I see Kratos' amazing physique. Goodness gracious, I'm all worked up. Can't talk. I don't look at these characters. I was playing Spider-Man and Miles Morales. I don't get upset about the physique of those characters. I'm not, like, making a character not look like a traditional video game female character that's proportions are off the charts and not at all realistic. I don't feel threatened by them. What?
When you look at what the gaming industry is run by, of course, not everybody, but there is a lot more, those blue-haired land whales that we talk about, or the they, them, made-up genders, transgender, all of that. And so you have an influx of that. A bunch of, like, honestly, just really fat people. That's just where it's going because this fat movement, we should not be encouraging that.
Why? Why do you feel the need in every video you make go after people that you don't like? Why? Why? What is your problem with overweight people? What is your problem with them? And don't give me that bullshit that it's like, oh, because I want them to be better and take care of themselves. Yeah, obesity is a problem. But you know what? People that are fat don't need to be reminded that they're fat, and you're not helping.
We just shouldn't. Fat people are still human beings, but should we encourage it? No. Because of that, I do think...
God, she's such a fucking lame-ass fence setter about this shit. like, either commit to your fucking fat phobia or commit to whatever you want to call it of hating fat people or hating gay people or trans people. Just fucking commit to it. Jesus.
If the characters look bad, then we don't feel the pressure to look good. But on the racist topics, she looks like one of those racist drawings. I don't know what this means. Would draw to make fun of minorities. But that, does she not though? If you think about those old racist caricature drawings, does she not? It's like they took every stereotype caricature, because people are like, oh, you're racist, you don't like her because she has African features, the full lips, the wide nose, all that. Well, the lips, it's not even just full lips. It's that her face is so narrow that her mouth is taking up a good 30% of her entire face.
What are you looking at? What are you looking at that I'm not?
The mouth is gigantic. She has a horse face shape. This, you know what? This isn't a real person. Don't come at me. This isn't a real person. And if she's modeled after a real person, which I've seen, the real person looks so much better. So miss me with that. But they gave her a horse face. It's
horse face. Okay.
Just extremely long, extremely narrow, so that her features, which already are dominant, look even more so because her face is so narrow. So yeah, it's making her look like a caricature. It looks ridiculous, and her eyes look squinty to boot.
Her eyes
so
look
it's not
squinty
even helping
because
balance
she
it.
is angry
It's like,
in
let's
the
just
context.
make the mouth the biggest feature to where it's covering most of her face. And so by giving her such beady little eyes and all that, and such a narrow and long face, it is making that mouth look like her whole face. And not only that, but look how she just looks angry. Look how she just, and that's another stereotype that Black women constantly face, is
you are devoiding anything that she's doing. You're taking away that context to make a point about racism when you're not even using the video itself. The context of the video, she's having a conversation with someone. It's not like this is the character model they presented and she's just an angry looking Black woman. She's angry in the context of what's happening. So you use that as a stereotype for your, well, if you are okay with it, you're kind of racist, aren't you? Response? What?
Constantly faces the angry Black woman trope. So that's exactly what's going on here. And so here we have, she has an avatar. I believe she's a Black woman, judging by her profile and her picture and everything. She goes, folks in my mention, she finally looks like a Black woman. Why can't Tanya look like an attractive, feminine Black woman rocking a sexy silk press?
This is my biggest problem. And I think what it boils down to. Beauty is subjective. Art is subjective, right? So she is taking everything she says about any of these videos that she's done about these female characters being uglier for modern audiences, whatever stupid nonsense she's saying. She's using that as fact. Subjective is not a thing. It is a fact. And it's not. Women look different. Characters are going to look different. It's going to reflect different, like, I don't understand where you think that beauty is and art are like 100% fact, what you think. Just because you don't think she's attractive doesn't mean that I don't think she's attractive. Like, what are you saying? You can't look at beauty and
Is it necessary to put locks in her hair? Y'all know nothing about Black women or our hairstyles. Why can't they see a character that is pretty like that, you know? And I don't even think the whole representation argument, I think is that, like, you can find a bunch of my other videos talking about that. But still, as a whole, it's like when you're creating characters and a variety of different characters in a fighting game cast and stuff, it's cool to see a variety of characters. But I just feel like Black women get the short end of the stick a lot when it comes to character design.
She makes a salient point by saying that she thinks that Black women get the short end of the stick when it comes to fighting games and games in general. I agree with her. But she can't help herself, because when she makes a good point, she's got to follow up with this.
New Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, they made her fat and ugly. And I was like, dude, you know, I already think that the race swap shouldn't have happened. But if it is going to happen, why can't she be cute? Why can't she Like, you know, in this case, she's like a teenager. So why can't she just be adorable and look like that she would grow up into a very beautiful woman, gorgeous woman, you know? And I was called racist for that. I feel like black girls who are in this nerd space and they want to cosplay a character and they don't want to do a race swap cosplay, which I don't even think I think race swap cosplays can be fun and great. But if they want to cosplay as a character that they feel like they can actually do a very accurate interpretation of.
According to you, they are ugly. That's your source, that's your proof, because you have no source or proof for that, because you can't. Because the beauty of a human being is not a fact. It's not a finite fact. So while she makes a good point that, yeah, there's not enough black female characters in fighting games, or honestly games in general, and yeah, it sucks for those black girls in this space that want to cosplay and shit like that. But then just say, well, I feel bad because they're ugly, and then before that make a point about April O'Neil saying she's fat and ugly. According to you, she's fat and ugly. That's your opinion. You're acting as if your opinion is fact, and it's not, and it's boring. It's the same shit. Every fucking video you do about a female's appearance in video games or in movies, in the case of the TMNT shit, it's the same thing. And this is why I call you a pick-me. This is why I call you a virtue signal person, because it's so funny to me, because you guys make more about this content than the people you claim suck. Like the SJW stuff and the people that you accuse of virtue signaling, they don't do it nearly as much as you guys do. Or your little space. And you try and claim you're not attached to the left or the right or whatever the shit is. But look at her content. Look at who she hangs out with. Look at the podcast she guests on. For Christ's sake, a couple months ago, she was on Alex Stein's podcast. You don't think that dude is a right-wing loon? You don't think that Nerdrotic and Friday Night Tights is full of a bunch of right-wing lunatics? She virtue signals to the comic gate guys. She virtue signals to the gamer gate guys. She virtue signals to those guys who think we got to have big titty, tiny waist, hot female characters. And she can say she's not someone that masturbates to this stuff or whatever. I don't think she does, because I think she thinks that masturbating's evil because she's a Jesus freak. That's what she says on her Twitter anyway. But you are signaling to those guys who do complain that they can't jerk off to these characters. You make content geared toward those people. Okay? And I want to make it very clear, I'm not here to kink shame. If you want to jerk off to that shit, fine. But it's when you start making content where you're like, oh, well, they're ugly, and she's ugly, and this is ugly. Keep in mind, they're fictional characters, 1. 2, sometimes they are modeled after the actual actors and actresses. 3, it's all subjective. The only thing that matters for me and most people when it comes to Mortal Kombat 1 or that, we'll use Fable as an example because she complained about that a while back. The only thing that matters to me is the gameplay good? Is the story good? Is it fun to play? That's all that matters. I don't give a shit if Tanya looks different and it has a character design. I don't care, but you do, because you are virtue signaling pick-me girl. And that's all you'll ever be. You can't make content outside of grifting. Yeah, you got your streams or whatever, sure, those probably do whatever. But you have to make videos complaining about females' looks. You have to make, again, video after video after video virtually signaling to the worst people on the internet. And look, if you have a legitimate gripe with her design, I'm not saying you're a terrible person. But what I'm saying is when you constantly make video after video after video after video complaining about females' looks and saying they're ugly because of modern audiences and blame it on blue-haired leftists and made-up gender trans people and they-them people, you're a problem for me because you're ignorant. And it's simple facts. That's what it is. And I'm more than welcome to have a conversation with somebody that doesn't like their design, not based on she's ugly. And then she uses this. Like, she tries to redesign the character herself and say, if you would have just rounded her face out or done this. cherry picked the most flattering picture. So then she tries to make her own edit, and you tell me if there's a difference.
Dude, he cherry picked the most flattering picture of this character. Don't even act like, well, obviously this is an unflattering photo, but all the screenshots of this character look hideous. And he cherry picked the best looking one, but even then it doesn't look good. She still has that horse face, right? And so I made this tweet here. All I did was and honestly, I would suggest changing more than just the face shape. But even if that's all you changed, she already looks a lot more feminine because her features match her face more. When her face is longer and more narrow, it's really making her
see a
mouth look
difference?
gigantic, as I said before. And again, not about the thick lips. Thick lips are great, but it's that they made her mouth too big for her head. So that can happen with any race. People can have those features, but even so, like to that degree, that's not very common to have. Yeah. It'd be like if my eyes were closer and my face.
Melonie, keep doing what you're doing, I guess, because it gives me more content. But this whole shtick is lame and tired, and I honestly don't even think you believe half the shit you're saying. I think it's all part of your grift, and I think it's all a part of your signaling to the comics gators and the gamer gators, and that's really always what your content will always be now, I guess. You've just picked a side, and you can claim you don't, but you do. Thanks for watching this special edition of the Grift Report. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell so you get new videos, and yeah, let's have it out in the comments. If you really have a problem with Tanya's design, good on you. I personally don't really care about the character. I care when Melonie makes videos like this constantly. It's signaling to people and emboldens people to just really say bad, heinous things and lies and calling things ugly and believing it's fact. That's when I have a problem. But what do I know? I'm just a soy boy.
What does that say to black women? Oh, you're racist if you don't like how she looks because this looks like black women. That's saying that they think black women look ugly. That's why I don't get the argument. Same with April O'Neil. You're racist if you don't like how the new April O'Neil looks, or you're racist if you don't like how the new Tanya looks. That means that obviously they think black women are ugly.
What?
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.